Everyone, my name's Laura Riccardi, and this is my SLP presentation. When choosing an organization, I didn't go for a typical one. I didn't go for one that dealt with direct problems of poverty or gender issues or religion, things along those lines. I chose to go for the history and the economic side of things. And I chose to work for the preservation of the SS City of Milwaukee. And actually, this is a organization that I've been involved with for a long time, but it was a perfect opportunity to get back into it again. Um, she was a car ferry that was built in the 1930s by the Grand Trunk Railroad. She sailed across Lake Michigan from 1931 to 1982. What made her so special is how her hull was designed. It was designed to break ice, and which Lake Michigan will accumulate huge chunks of ice, which can be extremely detrimental to the boats going across the lake. So she was designed to break through that. She's a kind of a powerhouse. She's 350 feet long and about 52 feet wide, weighs just under 3,000 tons, and has 5 different decks. She, at full capacity, could carry 30 rail cars, had a crew of 52 people, and then they had the capacity of almost 300 passengers that they could take across, but it would never reach those numbers. Um, she was built to replace a ship that had sunk back in 1929 called the SS Milwaukee, and unfortunately, all crew members were lost in that sinking. It was a very, very tragic story. But she's powered by 4 boilers and 2 triple expansion reciprocating steam engines that produce about 1,350 horsepower. They're absolutely massive. I'll show you a picture here in a second. But there you have the whole of her ship and the sea gate there in the back that's designed to lift up like that to help roll the rail cars onto the boat. And then when it's down, it's obviously used to help keep water out of the back. As you can see here on the left, that's the engine room. It's 2 stories tall like that. It takes up, I would say that's a good 30 foot long stretch right there just for the engines. And then here on the right, you have the car deck. You can see 2 different sets of rails. And then on the other side of the beams there, you have another 2 sets. So 4 sets of rails altogether that were on this deck. Above that, you have the passenger deck, which you can see the galley here. And that's all wood. That's a wood stove off into the bottom corner there. Everything's original. You can see the passenger dining. And then that's the passenger hallway. It's just beautiful. The craftsmanship that went into it. It's just, you don't see things like that anymore. And then we have the pilot house. And that's a front view from up on the passenger deck. You can see all 3 decks there. And then she's got National Historic Landmark titles. We got that back in 1990. It's been a lifesaver, honestly. During my time of volunteering, a lot of it was spent just de-winterizing, bringing her back so that way they can open her back up again and have it look nice, and a lot of cleaning, getting the gift shop put together, and cleaning out the office so that way we can start doing business again out of there. But like I said, this is something that I've been involved with 3 years. So a lot of the times I've done restoration work and fundraising. I've helped with overnights and bed and breakfast for the bed and breakfast. I've done brochure distribution. I've helped with weddings and school functions. One of the biggest things that we do is Ghost Ship, and like it's our largest fundraiser of the year. It's honestly what saves our butt every year. It brings in people from all across the state. It's just a really fun thing. There, I generally do general setup of the decorations. I help with people counts, which was important for the loan that we recently just got out from underneath. I've helped doing cash register, acting, just general help and maintenance throughout the nights. When looking at this, she's definitely rooted in history. I mean, she's a floating museum. She's the last of her kind that has been, oh, what's the word I'm looking for? She has been altered at all. Everything is still original, and she represents one of the largest economic thresholds for Michigan, especially in the early 1900s. Which leads us in the whole economic thing. She helped shape Michigan into what it was, but she also still plays key roles in the local economy, between offering jobs to locals as well as working with the mental departments in the area. We offer jobs for the mentally handicapped and things like that. We bring in tourism left and right, so we help bring money into the city all the time, paying taxes and things like that. But there's also the political science. She's a National Historic Landmark. She's protected by our government. The loan that I was referring to, we had a loan through the USDA that we actually just recently taken care of, and that was just a whole different ballgame in dealing with. I see a lot of conflict theory. That was one of the biggest things that stuck out with this of how she gets dealt with. The city sees her as an eyesore, so we get a lot of backlash from them. We don't get a lot of help. We've already been pushed out of Frankfurt, which is how we ended up in Manistee, and then they moved us from a promised location, and which forced us to get this loan from the USDA so we could finally have a place for her to sit. And we've also dealt with people that have actually tried to sink the boat so that way they could go scuba diving through it, which to me is just absolutely heartbreaking. But at the same time, we have a lot of individual support, but people can't speak out about these things because they're afraid of these larger governments backlashing on them about it. And they fail to see the benefits that we have for the local economy and the support that we give to other businesses and organizations in the area. It's kind of a sad thing to watch. You would think something like that people would want to keep around, but it's a lot of trying to save her just from the city itself. I wanted to thank you for listening, and please check them out. They depend on a lot of volunteer help to keep them going, and it's definitely something that's worth their time and very cool to check out. And like I said, it's located in Manistee there. She's very hard to miss. Have a great day, guys.